Hello, welcome back to 3 Delirium. My name is AJ, and the wait is finally over. After taking a short hiatus and a rather busy week at my real job, we're back and better than ever. So, in addition to merely just changing the title at the beginning of the video, we're also trying a more scripted approach to all the content in general. So, therefore, without further ado, let's get on to this week's topic. Hello! This week I'm starting a project that will take some time to complete. I'm trying to make a model of a truck that matches the ones that we already have here. Now, I found a seemingly worthwhile model on the website Thingiverse, but there's a very important thing that I'm trying to keep in mind that I didn't seem to learn last year or by Christmas. Always measure twice and then print once, right? So, luckily this file that I found comes in both completely assembled and completely broken down forms. Now, I'm confident that bringing all of the pieces separately and printing them all at the same time will make a better quality final product than just trying to print the completed truck altogether. Now, I want to make sure everything matches before I print anything out. So, therefore, I do want to use the completed model, loading it into my slicing software, and then I'll be able to see the dimensions of what the final product will be right there on the side. Now, with these numbers in mind, I'm going to write them down, and we'll take them over to the desk. All right, so checking in with the old trucks, we'll take the best example of one we have here, and, all right, yeah, matches in length. And height. I see. So the new truck will be a little bit taller and a little bit wider than the ones that I currently have here. But I think that'll be a-okay. I don't think that'll be a problem whatsoever. But since I'm printing each piece little by little though, I want to make sure to arrange them and take extra care when printing them so I don't end up with something that I regret later on. Like I mentioned before, I want to learn from the mistakes of my past, so I want to ensure that I follow some of my own rules. Measuring twice, printing once. Therefore, making less waste than I need to. I can delete a file. Can't necessarily delete wasted filament. When organizing items on the build plate, there are a few important things that I'm looking out for which I am looking out. And even more so, when adding multiple items, it can compound problems even further. So first off, I'm always trying to ensure that the bottom side of an item always has the most surface area contacting the build plate. This will help with adhesion and make sure that the model is less likely to accidentally pull off of mid-print. I don't want any prints to bump into other prints. Second, I want to check for round edges. An item like a disc, for example, would best print with the flat side on the build plate. Again, the maximum amount of surface area. If I were to angle a disc then up onto its side, we run the chance of having each of the warm, malleable layers droop as they kind of go out over the edge of the previous layer that was below it. Without that previous layer now supporting the next layer, the problem will get worse higher and higher we go. So as we have an overhang from being in the bottom side of a curve, for example, that would cause the droop. The droop from the previous layer being droopy as well makes the droop worse. This all together, when the model's finished, could cause a pretty bad deformation of the whole thing in general. And thirdly, I'm looking to maximize items printed versus time it takes to then print that item. If I'm looking at an item with an abundance of overhangs, it might require more support material. And support material just adds to the time it takes to print the whole thing, but ultimately will be thrown away. So positioning the item in a way that might minimize support material is also something I'm using to speed things up. Now, there's also a fourth, kind of easily forgotten method that I'm also looking out for. I want to focus on splitting everything into manageable batches. This is done to help everything fit on the build plate, but even more after that. The more items being printed, as I kind of hinted at before, the more chances there are for one of them to fail. So as we build higher and higher, and the more time spent during a print, is the more chances for something to fail and cause something else to fail. And when 3D printing, there are few frustrations worse than nearing the end of something that would take an entire day to print, only to have a failure happen in the final moments of that print that kind of ruin everything. And with this preparation out of the way, I'm ready to begin printing these batches of truck parts, with each of these batches being more than 6 hours of printing on their own. Hopefully I'll be able to check back in next week with how the truck pieces are coming along. Now, I have had a few hardware upgrades, so I'm finally able to print without that gooey glue stick. I have found myself some isopropyl alcohol for cleaning that print surface. So that is one more stress that I kind of have when making these, because I am very aware of the failures that can happen when the prints don't stay stuck to the build plate. Well, what do you think? Do you think I should have just made the whole thing a lot easier and printed the whole truck in one big print? Even if that might make some support material inside the model itself, I'll just kind of dig that out as best I can. Or do you think it's a good thing that I have made these changes? What do you think about the changes themselves? Did you miss me in the weeks that I was away? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you feel free to like and subscribe to the channel as well. This has been 3 Delirium, where we can all hallucinate about the possibilities of 3D printing. But I will see you next week, and hopefully we can check in with this truck.